Hello everyone, thanks for the power in the internet. I get to talk with you, and I'm going quite high off of my win at my locals with Impauldio. You know, at first I wasn't so confident about this deck, like you only get 3 attacks, everything seems quite straightforward and not so interesting, but I actually had a lot of fun, and I can actually see why JP said this was the counter to Sojo Doji. So let's go over it. Obviously the ride line is what you expect. The grade 0 can be anything, but grade 1 gets you the system code, which basically dumbed down. When you gauge, if you have 3 or less, if you get a trigger, you don't get the 5k. You got 4 or more, you get the 5k, meaning your triggers are now essentially 15k, meaning if you get 2, you're plus 30, making you so big, you're 4,300. Wow, I can't talk, but you get the idea. And the grade 2, while you gotta wait a little bit, gives you so much versatility in your early game that it kind of goes underappreciated. And of course, the machine himself, the Messiah Ezel, Impauldio. Counterblast 1, which is a very helpful thing. Choose one from your drop, gauge it. My only suggestion is make sure you always have one of these in here. I hate doing that. There we go. And then grade 3 or less, you can call it. Don't forget, this is choose up to one. During my playing, there was a lot of times I would have decked myself out. I was literally down to like 5 or 2. I just looked and I just placed it back down. If I was really desperate for another unit, I played it. And then of course the divine skill, most of the time I just shotgunned it off, other times I didn't. But if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, and you have 4 more auto gauge, pretty easy to get to. 3 damage on the way up and using his ability. CB discard, crit 1, drive plus 2. I had average hand of like 10, 14, so there was never time I felt totally in danger. And an effect that I skipped on purpose, because during the initial testing before my locals, I forgot that when you use the first effects, you get 5k for every 2 of your auto mod. The fact this exists makes me question persona rides in this deck, because I didn't need them. Because I'm like, alright, Counterblast 1, my front row now gets plus 20. Already, persona ride, do this, my front row's now getting 25k. I totally get it, because you only get 3 attacks, and, you know, it helps you push the numbers better. Obviously, the immediate 4 of is Vinster, because it's an 18k attacker, because if you have 2 or more auto gauge, you always should. And then if you got 8 or more, which actually happened more time than not, it's Twin Drive if you give the Counterblast. And then, of course, how do you get it? Well, if you got 4 or more, Counterblast 1, you get Drive 1. If not, Drive 2. But no matter if it performed drive checks, you gotta bind it. And this is why I love the matchup with Shoujo Doji. Because they'll sometimes put it to drop. Well, that feeds your bind. Alright, put it on the bottom of the deck. Alright, you can be more offensive with your drives because you're not going to deck out. Hey, they're not going to touch it. Well, it might just end up back in your hand. So it's kind of tasty. Very tasty. And I'm going to talk about persona rides. I'm playing 3 Habitable Zone because there's no punish if you go first. And riding up, it's filling your gauge and making sure you don't deck out. I'll probably replace Habitable Zone with the Countercharger grade 2 or some of the grade 1s that come out. This is just really nice. It just says draw 1 from the energy you're never touching. It does sometimes not work because, as I said, there were many times I was very low on deck and I'm like, I don't want to resolve this because then I don't get to attack with my Vanguard or do anything fun. Every list is playing Nebula at 4. I get why, because you Soul Blast 1, it's a 25k attacker, void any persona ride or 5k you get from your mod, and it's a 20k shield. I saw him enough already, and I don't feel like I always needed the 4th. So what did I do? I maxed out on Boba Mine, who had, if you don't know, on boost put in soul countercharge, which feeds everything in the deck. Hey, look, Balroid, who I was originally not going to play, I was going to do the order package, but then I don't care about the 5k. You don't need it, because the gauge doesn't count like the prison, but you get a look at top 5 for any grade 2 or greater card. So what is that? Vinster, Persona Ride, any of your, cyclers, or Invoke. Search 5, basically grab anything. The only thing it can't grab is this order, which I didn't have to search. If it was in my hand, great. If not, I pretty much had everything I needed from, what's that, Drive 4, Drive 5. I was doing 4 drive checks casually, basically every turn. I did this because I didn't actually own 4 Invoke, so I just threw 1 in, but Gatherer 2 actually kind of showed up sometimes because it's just an 18k booster no matter what you do. He was literally on my front line one time just to be an attacker, and it worked out. I don't know if I actually want to put a Regalia in. If I do, I would probably do another Blitz one, because it's the discard. You can give plus 15 because you're grade 3 Vanguard. Or Caliburn. Caliburn's one of my favorite, because I'm never going to use the draw 2, but a countercharge and the plus soul in this deck is so good. Now, many of you are wondering, what the hell are these 2 cards? Well, it's a promo back in ye old days. I'm not going to even pronounce its name, but it's a 9k attacker, whatever. You can counterblast 1 from this effect to make your whole front row bigger. But at any moment, you can just, when it swings to your Vanguard, hey, you got a set order, it's a token, so you are automatically given one. Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rear guard, retire it. You have a lot of open soul, despite, because of, Balroid, Boba Mime going off, so you don't really care about Habitable Zone, or Invoke, you're mostly always going to have it. So this is nice just to pick out a few pesky things. Like I went against, God, what's the bug dragon? Levy Address. Hey, the grade 1 booster? Get rid of it. You have such a good early game if you just see any of your grade 2, or even your grade 1s, like put Boba up front, support it with Balroid. Worst case scenario, they just attack your Vanguard and you move Boba back. Best case, they attack Boba to be a future gauge, because in the early game, hey look, you can choose anything from your Automon and add it to hand. Hi Boba. Guess what? Hey, you got Pansemia? Whoop! The OT? Bring it back. Speaking of, there's only 2. There's, of course, Elder Breath, because you become the king of sacking with this deck, because it's like, check 1, everything doubles, so massive numbers. You easily already hit late game, like 96. So, just double that. That would be like 192. Crit 4. It's insane. I like purple OT because not only does it somewhat enable a multi-attack, especially if it's checked off Vinster, because he binds himself after these his drive checks, or anything, honestly. So it could get you a 4th attack, but also it could just heal a booster from your damage and just call it, give it plus 10. I just use it because it says 5th damage heal checked offensively. So I like it, but obviously Elder Breath, king of sacking. You might notice that Elementar is not in this deck because you are running these Blitz, which are better because you play this. It becomes a 35k shield because plus 10, not you, plus 20, plus any grade 2 becomes 35. So let's go into a quick hand with this thing. Let's... See, going first. We just gotta... You honestly don't even need these in your hand, Mulligan too. That's fine. Ride phase. Bump. Ride deck. Ride, you get the... Ooh, that's cool, I didn't know that. Obviously, bot deck. Draw. drop. Alright, yep. And the turn there. This is just basically Crest Light, going to be honest with you. I don't mind the aesthetic, I think it's pretty fun. Your opponent's turn, most likely they're just going to attack you once, that's fine, you want to take it. Auto Mod, which gives you +5. I accidentally clicked Persona, that's fine. End turn. Ride. Ready? Boba. It don't matter. And like I was talking about before, that. Why? Because now in your battle, if you check a crit, cool, they're at 2. This becomes 26, and guess what? You might push them to 3. PG, sure, that's fine. They're at 1. Swing 16, that's fine because you go to Soul. Look top 5. Sadly, this is one of the rare instances I whiff, but that's fine. Deck shuffle and turn. Now, this is giving your opponent a lot of versatility. Most likely, they will attack your Vanguard once. Alright, cool. Auto Mod, which gives me power +5. And they'll swing into Boba. If not the worst thing in the world. Because now they end their turn. Goddamn PGs. Boop. Ride deck. Ride. Impauldio. Yep. So now we top deck into Gauge. Ooh. Yeah, we're getting this back to hand. We're going to counterblast 1. Look at top 5. Done deal. Ready? Call. 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 Everything is going to get +10 because we're cool and awesome and used Impauldio. So, power. Front gets +10. You're going to swing with your big boy himself. Crit. Most likely, if they didn't just guard this, they're both +15, so that's actually 35. So, let's add it. Let's say they take it. So they were already at, like, what, 2? So this will push them to 4. Second check. Cool. Whatever. Hey, ready. Swing. Soul List. It don't matter what you get. Everything goes into the Gauge eventually. Drop. Ready. Power. +15. Hey, guess what? We can do it over here, too. And notice, 43, my opponent's still grade 1. Sorry. The +15's only if I have 5 or more in the Gauge, which you should have, so they're only getting +5. So, just to demonstrate that, I would still Soul Blast because it feeds your drop, which is something you desperately need, especially when you have a low Gauge, but this is still 35, 33 when your opponent's grade 1, well, grade 2. So, let's assume they guard it. Hey, ready to Soul. Look, top 5. Oh, this is perfect, because let's say they just don't swing into my rear guards. I'm going to just take the Persona that's already in hand. So, you know what? I can actually take this, because my energy is 6. Shuffle, shuffle. And now it's my opponent's turn. So I have 2 in the Gauge, so ready? Swing at Van? Sure, I don't care. Gauged. They swing again. Heal trigger doesn't go off because I would be at 3 going to 4. They're at 4. Sadly, I still only have 3 in my Gauge, so this is one of the things I was talking about. So I get the power. Obviously, I can Gauge 1, but now I don't get the 5k because I would have gauged when it was 3, just going over it. Because when you put it in, that's when you choose a card after resolving your trigger. So then if you have 3 or less, which I would have, and your card other than a trigger was revealed, choose a Vanguard and gets 5k. So that didn't happen. So I'm still 28, but if I take any damage from now, I will get the 5k. No matter what happens. So they can swing one more time. Sure. Gauge. Now I'm at 5. Now I'm allowed to do all the fun things. I didn't really need that. Let's just say I intercepted one of their attacks. Alright, and now, because this is the divine turn, we gotta have a little bit more fun. So, counterblast, look, 5, don't even have to see anything else. Deck shuffle, sure, why not? Call that behind him. Divine, discard 1, we're not gonna need him much longer. Let's go into it. Wait. Sorry, we got 5. Technically 1 more, because I did that. Doesn't matter, we'll just add the guy we just added. Could have been any of them. So now, 5 for every 2. So 5, 10, 15 to the front row. So yeah, just a casual 38 quad drive. Oh wait, sorry. It's also crit 2. So, assuming they PG this, hopefully. Because they're at like 4 or 5 right now. Whoop. 2, 3, 4. Oh no. Because now we can swing with this dude. Counterblast 1. Well, now what? He also has a drive. He does bind himself afterward. Not a big deal. Swing. Soul. Goodbye. Hey, guess what? Power plus 15 again. And this only gets worse the more you go. Because let's assume we just had 2 more in the gauge. Front trigger. And, just gets worse from there because, Boba. Going to do Boba things. I get another counterblast again. And now, 3 PGs, a draw from energy. I'm at 9, so I'm most likely going to try to do that if I want to, because I still got 22 in deck. So much shield value in a Persona ride and another drive checker, like even... Because I healed already. Their battle phase, watch this. Take 1. Power. And engage. I probably don't heal 1 because they're at 5. But now I'm just at 28. I can give this now 20k shield. Ready. Where is it? Blitz order. Throw him. Throw her. PG. Sure, we'll just toss whatever. Guard. Draw from energy. Sure, we'll add that too. It's just so much fun, and I didn't think I would have that with this deck, honestly. But, let me know what you think, because I went from, oh, people are just coping on this deck, to, wow, I understand why this deck is not allowed to have a restand or like a consistent 4th attack, because it's just so brutal on the offense. Like, I'm pretty sure if Senka's deck was just a little bit better, she'd be the main protagonist. This is a monster of a unit, and I appreciate, Esla Messiah, Impauldio, the goddamn wall of a unit. But yeah, if you've made it past my ramblings, thank you very much, and please join me with this monster.